So please pay attention. Let's continue with the next topic, asynchronous. So before moving to asynchronous communication, I just wanted to revise sprint 5. You remember the slide? By the way, what do you mean by the term synchronous and asynchronous? We came across with the slide yesterday itself. All right, let me call Abhilash. What is your understanding on the word synchronous and asynchronous? Abhilash, you there? Shivani?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we came across with the technical term synchronous and asynchronous?
Yes, ma'am, and asynchronous is we are not using a true or false. It means it is already considered as a true, and in synchronous we are using as a false.
So we are making asynchronous false.
False, yes, ma'am.
So we are ensuring by default it is asynchronous. We are ensuring it should be in synchronous mode by acting the third parameter false. But my question was, what is in general synchronous and asynchronous? Ivani, I don't know. Please sit in the quiet place.
Yeah, ma'am.
I can hear so much of background. Some people are speaking, and I don't know. But
Sorry, ma'am.
ensure that you can able to attend the session without any disturbances. Yes, Priya, you want to say something?
Ma'am, send the request to the server.
Synchronous. So we'll come to server. Before that, the general word synchronous and asynchronous. Anyone wants to give? No, Tejas, right? Nikhil? Been long time.
Yes, ma'am.
Give a try.
Oh, asynchronous, I think it's like when something runs parallelly, like more than one. Synchronous is one after the other.
In general, we can say one after another, sequential. Once step 1 is done, we are going to step 2, and then we are moving to step 3. Such type of communication, such type of functionality is synchronous. Instead, if I run all the 3 steps parallelly, asynchronous. Whatever I'm teaching to you, if you acknowledge me with yes, no, what is the communication?
Synchronous.
If you reply me back, understood, not understood, yes ma'am, no ma'am, that is a synchronous. Instead of receiving an acknowledgement, I keep on completing the topic falls under asynchronous. This is all in general. We are into web application development. So in web application development, so always we are into this architecture, client server architecture. Oh my God, this I'm repeating for twice or thrice. So every time if you have a communication with server and the server is sending back the response, this type of communication is, what is this? Client is requesting, server is responding. Again, client is
synchronous.
It is synchronous. This communication is synchronous communication. But there will be a requirement. I need to perform certain asynchronous functionality. The best example for asynchronous functionality is your validation. In order to do validation, do I want to go to server and need to come back?
No, ma'am.
No, I need to do that in client side itself. So that is why we are introducing certain client side scripting. One of the powerful scripting is JavaScript. So your JavaScript will act like both client side scripting. And if there is any requirement, it is gonna to act like a server side also. So whatever we tried yesterday with JSON server, it is synchronous or asynchronous? Come on. Here, which one is the server?
JSON server.
JSON server. Every time the data is getting stored in server and it is returning back the status. If suppose we are waiting, it states to get completed. It's initialized, it's loaded. Then I am performing an action, which is synchronous. Since we touched on this JSON server, I'm relating. In general, if every time if I'm going to server and coming back, then it is synchronous. All your server side scripting or pure synchronous code. I know there will be some confusion. Still, you need some more clarity on it. So initially, you should know what is synchronous and asynchronous. Later, when it comes to server-side architecture, client server, always if you have a communication with server based on the server response, if we are proceeding, then it is synchronous. But every time if I depend upon server-side communication, synchronous, I am giving the lot of load to server. Client needs to wait time, load of my server gets increased. So some lightweight activity needs to done in client side itself. Because of that reason, we are introducing this validation via client side, which we can do with asynchronous functionality in JavaScript. In order to display the error message, do we want to go to server and come back? No, we are not doing. It's not at all required. We can do, but it's not required. In order to display the error message, do I want to go to JSON server? From JSON server, do I want to pull the error? No. But certain functionality you need to do with synchronous. Always with proper response, you need to proceed. So there is a code which is in front of you. Whatever we handled yesterday in your JavaScript, synchronous and asynchronous request. Whatever we handle with this false parameter is your synchronous request. Whereas today's session is about asynchronous functionality. So let's get into the topic.
Dear customer, your call is kept on hold as we are fetching your account details.
Can you able to hear some
Please be
audio?
online as it may take a
Yes,
few
ma'am.
seconds.
Yes, ma'am.
You will hear this
Your call
audio.
is kept on hold as we are fetching your account details.
I'm repeating.
Dear customer, your call is kept on hold as we are fetching your account details. Please be online as it may take a few seconds more. Dear customer, your call is kept
Where
on
you will
hold
get this
as we are
type of
fetching your
recorded
account
voice note.
details.
Customer
Ma'am,
service.
bank.
Customer care.
So if irrespective of any toll-free customer care you are calling, so those waiting time. Assume that you have a defective product in Amazon and you want to connect to customer care and you want to return back. So it's been 10 minutes or 15 minutes you are hearing this repeated voice note. What will be your experience with Amazon customer care? Point number one, let it be. Let it be. I don't know you faced or not. Assume or imagine like you were in that. You are trying to reach the person for 10 minutes, but you are hearing waiting tone. Let's assume you are about to book online ticket. So at the time of your confirming your order and pay, your screen got freezed. Maybe one or two you may experienced with real world thing.
Yes, ma'am. With IRCTC.
Yeah, so many portals. Let it be. Waiting in a queue at toll plaza is a pleasing experience. It is one of the India's largest toll plaza, Gurgaon NH. In restaurant, how the restaurants are ensuring wait time. See, different scenarios. Connecting to customer care, waiting for longer time, about to confirm the payment or about to confirm the order, your screen got freeze. And many more. Let's assume you were in a restaurant. You went to a restaurant where they made you for longer waiting time to hand over your parcel. The same next time you went to the other restaurant where they have handed over your whatever the ordered food in few minutes. So what will happen if they maximize the waiting time? What will happen if they minimize the waiting time? So tell me, so what will be the user experience in all these scenarios? Toll plaza waiting, continuously hearing this customer care tone. The screen got froze. What is the user experience? If you are a user,
it will be hectic.
come on. In general, I'm asking.
Processing.
It will
We
be
have to
hectic.
wait for a long time.
That's what if they made you to wait for longer time. Let's assume you are using Google search engine. Every time Google is taking for example, 10 second or 15 second to respond. Will you prefer Google for the next time?
Ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, you will be finding for any other SEO.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you make these type of experiences to user, all leads to one more example, page unresponsive. So you will be into the web page. After a long time, it loads the page, but you could not able to see the content. It resultant with this error. So what is common in all the scenarios?
I'm waiting time.
So waiting time, making the user frustrated. Overall, we can say all these scenarios leads to poor user experience. So it is very important for a developer when you are developing a website. So you should also consider user satisfactory experience. At any cost, you need not to entertain those kind of poor user experience. How can you overcome this waiting time? Let's get into the topic. Would you want your website to provide poor user experience because of long delays? Not at all.
No.
We don't want to make wait our customer for longer time in order to get the proper response from our website. So how can you achieve? You can achieve with the help of building asynchronous application using two functionality. One is callback and promise. So instead of waiting for server to load, to retrieve the response to the client, so you may think in the additional scenario, which is asynchronous application building. So we are going to explore JavaScript application to overcome this long wait time and to have a better user experience. We are going to build asynchronous application. How asynchronous will helps in building this overcome this long waiting time?
It will reduce the time.
So whenever there is a waiting time, so you need to write an appropriate functionality to handle those wait time. or otherwise I will not. If there is a wait time, like your thread, whichever the functionality is waiting in a queue for next, that can be executed, triggered. By the way, by using asynchronous, by using JavaScript, we are going to develop such kind of application with the help of two concepts. In JavaScript, we will use callback functionality and promises. So these are the two technologies where we will develop asynchronous in JavaScript. So use callbacks for asynchronous, use promises for asynchronous. It's a JavaScript code. I'm sure after looking into the code, you can identify arrow function. We have an add arrow function. We have average arrow function. And the function is accepting 2 parameter and it is returning. Harshit, you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me the output of this code? What would be the first output or first line in the output? Make it fast, Harshit.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it will first.
When I execute, what would be the first line in my output?
Ma'am, the first line will be add a function called.
No, Harshit. It shows your knowledge of JavaScript. Anuj. Anuj, I called your name.
Yes, ma'am.
You tell me. Output of this code. If you ensure that this is enclosed inside body script tag inside body of any HTML.
30 plus 55, I think.
What would be the first output line?
It will add the value 1 and
You tell me, I need to type here.
Number 1 is 30 and number is 30, number 2 is 55.
Rusikesh.
Yes, ma'am.
Output.
Value 1, value 2 function.
Is there a printable statement as value? This shows your JavaScript understanding and knowledge.
Calculating average of 2 numbers.
What should be the first line in our output?
Calculating average of two numbers.
Calculating average of 2 numbers. And then?
Number one, number two.
Number 1
colon 30.
Number two
colon
55.
55.
And then?
Average is.
It is a function. Being a Java student,
No, ma'am.
how
Add
function
will be
will come? So function will
function
be
is called.
triggered only when we call the function.
Ma'am, it will
So
go
here-
inside average, but then go back to add. First, it will go back to add.
Oh, no, first average function
No,
called.
average function called, then go back to add. And then it will be printed add function called, and then
It will
come back
print
to
average function is
Wait,
called,
wait,
then
wait,
add
wait.
function.
Others, I know my question is as simple, but for you could not able to answer. You are not strong if it's no use in continuing Angular and no use in continuing backend. Come on. Where you will have a break and you will start through. You will continue this. You have continued in Java, same thing you repeated in HTML. Now you are continuing in JavaScript. Tomorrow will never come. So utilize today. God, where I am. Yeah. So it's
It will print average is
average
30.
will be
Adam
called.
only give print the average, not print the add.
Yeah, we will be getting an output average
Is 30.
30 plus 55 by 2, or roughly some 20.
42.5.
42.5. 85.
42.5.
Not at all okay.
Yeah,
The
it is
topic
not
is asynchronous. This is just a code snippet to connect with synchronous execution. Anyone, any confusion you want to discuss on this output?
Ma'am, so if an application is taking a long time to load or give output, that means it is using synchronous. Okay.
Then why add function is called?
Look into line number. Wait. So this is the first line. Second,
Got it.
average we are calling. Average is calling add. So what is this sequential execution? One after another. So we are getting from first line, second, third. Instead, if I get first line and then fifth line, again third line, that is asynchronous. And for your batch, I already introduced the threads. Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you mentioned that add function is called, but ma'am, in the average function, we have specified that add and we have passed only a one parameter, right? Because it is value 1 plus value 2.
It's 30 and 55.
But ma'am, that will result into a single argument.
Parameters, ma'am. It should be
parameters.
comma, it's add operator.
I didn't get his question. By the way, when you are calling add value 1 and value 2, this value 1 value will be replaced and the value which it is returning will be stored here. And we are finding the average. What is your query, Harshit? I didn't get you. Point out.
Ma'am, the query is, ma'am, when we are calling the add function in the average, here we are passing only one parameter, which is value 1 plus value 2. But in the add function,
comma.
there are...
No, it should be comma.
Yes, ma'am, that's
typo error. Okay. God. Asif, make a note of it and update in that Excel.
Okay, Sangeeta.
In JavaScript sprint 6, slide number 14. It's a typo error, comma. In what order did the instruction executed? Sequential, one after another. Let's take a scenario. Please pay attention. What if news on website were fetched sequentially? So you relate with this demo. I have a JavaScript demo where we executed sequentially. Assume like if the sequential one after another, first line, second line, third line, 4, 5, 6. Likewise, if we execute fetch data in a news website sequentially, tell me what would be the impact. Please look into the step. First step, we are loading a news website. And second step is we are fetching the census data. And the Sensex data is taking some 5 seconds. So as soon as I receive the Sensex data, I am loading and I'm drawing a chart based on the Sensex data. The chart has been prepared, and then we are showing the recent headlines. All right. The idea behind this flow is, so I'm loading a news website and I want to show recent headlines. If I go sequential, my headlines will be displayed only after completing the Sensex. Assume like this Sensex data, my database server is not loading. I have a problem with my DB server. It's taking longer time. So till this process gets completed, what will be in a waiting state? Headlines will be in my waiting state. It's just an just to relate with the topic. Have you understood this problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Instead, what we need to do, as soon as we load the website, we follow this. If it is taking a longer time, let's assume my DB is taking longer time to fetch the data. So if it is taking longer time, I need to fill this recent headlines in this waiting time. So I need not to wait till this process gets completed and then showing the recent headlines. Has to wait till the Sensex data is not fetched and the chart is not drawn. So till third, fourth, fifth step, you need to wait to show the recent headlines. So when the process executes synchronously, let's assume I am calling an external code. Because of that, there is a delayed response. So this will block the subsequence of execution. Because of this wait time, my screen gets freeze. This leads to unresponsive user experience. All it leads to poor user. Let's assume I have first step, second step. Between second step and third step, I have some waiting time. Do I want to entertain this waiting time? No. So in this waiting time, what we can do, instead of waiting for third step or third functionality, I can have whichever the subsequent functionality wait can be triggered over here. By the way, I will not make my application to wait. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, the 3 is taking longer time to load. Instead, whichever is ready, I can bring it to my waiting time and I can process. So with the help of JavaScript, we are making an asynchronous programming. With this approach, wait time is utilized to allow subsequent instruction to execute. There will not be non-blocking execution and latency will be reduced. All of thing we will get is we will not entertain longer waiting time and there will be an high user experience. Can you relate with these scenarios? So we are loading a new site. When you are about to fetch Sensex data, if it is in asynchronous, if it is taking even a less waiting time to fetch the data, plot the chart and displaying a chart. So meanwhile, if it is taking some time, can you see sixth process has been introduced in the third one. You find the difference between this diagram and this diagram. Here we have show headlines after drawing the chart. If there is no problem, it will go in this order. If there is a problem, if there is any waiting time, automatically, if it is in synchronous, if it is in asynchronous, my headlines will be in my before loading script to draw chart, Sensex data, my headlines will be does not have to wait census data to be fetched and transformed into graph. Introductory part is clear. Shall we get into the topic? Synchronous and asynchronous. So in JavaScript, I was telling about this asynchronous programming, no waiting time. Programmatically, you can achieve that using two functionality. One is callback, the other one is promises. Do I introduce to callback?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Where, under which topic?
Callback functions.
Callback is a function, yeah. Callback is not something new, it's a function. I said that this callback functions, pre-built-in callback functions. What is the speciality of callback function? Of course, JavaScript also, the first class citizen in JavaScript is a function. But a step ahead, we will call callback function. So we have a traditional function. What else?
Without parameter, we can call this function.
We have arrow function.
Yeah.
And we have callback. What is the speciality of callback?
Without that bracket, we can call this function.
Passing function as a parameter. Example, do we came across with this? You relate and you recollect and tell me. Do we pass any user defined function as a simple parameter, not by using open close? No open close. No, you recollect and tell me. I'm giving you 5-10 minutes time. So come on, guys. I know it's a vague topic. You have to make it interesting. We will be into part of both front end and back end. You think and you recollect and answer.
Reduce map.
Starting from all the array functions. For each, you remember the syntax, I will show you. What else? What are all the functions? Array functions we used and we passed. You remember? Let's assume number is an array. Number dot for each of I passed function. What else?
Filter map. Reduce.
What is this fun1, fun2, fun3?
Function name.
Functions.
It's a function. Either you can use a regular traditional way or you can use arrow function. I can define a traditional way of function and I can call. For each, map, filter, reduce. Can you relate? My God, what happened to you guys? Triangle, right? What is a demo I used for your batch?
I think in first print, I think you mentioned that callback function.
There is for each of fun1 in the first.
July 6. Theory is also there. This is a regular function. Instead, for few built-in function, user-defined function is gonna to pass as a parameter without open close. Hardly how many days back? 6 days back. Shall I continue with the topic? And
Yes, ma'am.
I can see sample 1 and sample 2. But for you, I tried in different demo. Wait. This is for wave 26 only. This one? Yeah. I commented so many lines. Wait. Please look into line number 50, 56, 58. These are all example of callback function. We used for array function. Today we will use few more function, and the primary function is set timeout. Please look into here, array dot filter of, I am passing one more function. Always we will call function with open close. So callback, it is based on function. Promises. After completing callback, let's get into promise. It's a simple topic. Just a recollecting passing function as a parameter. Do you remember JavaScript function can take another function as a parameter? So what is callback? In JavaScript, callback is a function which is passed into another function as an argument to execute later. Sometimes callback can be synchronous. It can be asynchronous always. So a very good example for callback is this event handler and array functions. Document.getElementId button 1. Add event listener. Inside event listener, I am introducing another function. Whatever the functionality I want to do, when I click button 1, I will be defining inside. One function is defined inside another function. And one more example is array function. Example 1 is new to you all. This is all. Do we came across this on DOM topic? I said this word in listener. Tell me. So document.getElementId button 1. For this button 1, I am activating an event. Event can be activated with the help of event listener. Add event listener of event is click event. And what I need to do, either I can define a function or call function, or I can define a function as such. This is an example of callback, and I hope you can recollect this. Okay, I'm giving you a minute time. If you want, make a note of it and try. So you can give form, submit, button click, on change, select. Shall I continue with next? Can you relate this to example with callback function demo? Do I want to continue, or we can continue on tomorrow morning? Yes, Siddharth.
Yes, ma'am. We can continue.
Continue, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm continuing. So we came across on this event methods and array methods, array functions for callback. Today I'm going to introduce few more callback for asynchronous. So in JavaScript, in order to have asynchronous action, no synchronous, it will happen automatically. So yeah, parallel action. JavaScript host environment provides function that helps in asynchronous action. So in JavaScript, if I want to perform asynchronous action, I can done by using some predefined methods. These are the examples of such powerful concept. We have set interval, set timeout, and load script. All these function takes another function as a parameter, and the function is called back as the called back once the complete action is complete. So what is your understanding on this set interval?
It will give time to means interval it will produce the output.
So let's assume I am in a browser, okay, and yeah, client side validation. I want some message to pop up. So if I give in set interval of 2 seconds, do I want to wait for server response? Whether it will be synchronous? No. As soon as if I call set interval, as per the interval time, it will wait. If it is for 2 minutes, 2 seconds, it will wait for 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, automatically what I will get? Whatever the message I want to display, I will get it on my screen. By the way, we are achieving asynchronous functionality. So whatever I said in theory, let's execute in practical. We have a demo. The demo is we are changing the background color every 3 seconds, and every second current time needs to display, and I should display a message, and background color needs to change in every 3 seconds. Everything done with the help of these methods. Callback method. Please pay attention. We'll go step by step. Thank you, pattern. Set. And by the way, these are the ready-made functions available. You can call directly. Wait. So let me keep set. All the functions, set interval, set timeout. Please pay attention. Path set interval.
It should be div or div one.
Sorry.
It should be div or div one.
Yeah. That's all. Let's try. All right. So tell me, every 5 seconds, I hope you all know 5,000 is millisecond. So 1,000 millisecond equal to 1 second. Every 5 seconds, I am getting a message, good no. So whether it is synchronous or asynchronous.
Asynchronous.
So
Asynchronous.
is there a specific order? I want to perform it one after? No. So we are performing certain asynchronous functionality. Hasib, I'm messaging you.
Yeah, Sangeeta. Oh,
You allowed. That's fine. One second. Cannot see. One second. Yeah. So we have a function called as set interval. And this is one of the callback function. Why? Please look into line number 20 and have you observed something?
Will pass function fun1 as a parameter.
Function one as a parameter, and the second parameter is an interval in the form of millisecond. So this is one of the callback function which will work in asynchronous mechanism in your JavaScript. So we have set interval. Likewise, we have set timeout. So set timeout also, it will take callback function as a first parameter and timeout, how much time it needs to be there as a second parameter. Same it will take in the form of millisecond. Let us have a simple demo. Instead of function 1, let me call function 2. So this time, let me define function 2. In function 2, I'm calling set timeout. This is calling fun1. And I want this to be repeated for every 2 seconds. Okay. You can ask me the difference between set interval and set timeout. On seeing the output, can you guess what would be the difference between set interval and set timeout?
Set timeout,
Timeout stop.
Method stop the function after 2 seconds.
Execute only once. So both are asynchronous action. It works based on the time slice you have provided, based on the millisecond time period which has been provided. One difference I want to say is always set timeout will be executed only once. If you want to perform any repetitive execution, then you can use the concept of set interval. I thought before moving to this concept session demo, let me introduce this sample function call on the set time interval and set timeout. So then we will discuss on this concept demo. So whatever we did here, I am displaying good noon, but here we are displaying the current time and we are changing the background color. So if I want to perform certain action repeatedly, so based on the time, based on my operating system time, every second it needs to refresh. What concept I can use?
Interval.
Yeah, and please look into the problem statement. You want to display the current time. Time should be refreshed every second and background color should change in every 3 seconds. All right. So we have one div. So this div ID, I'm gonna to load my clock, my time, and this app, we are gonna to display the message, some greetings message. So we have loaded JavaScript file. Let's get into the code of script file. So we have two functions. One is set timeout and set interval. Whenever if you perform an asynchronous action only once, you can use the concept of set timeout. If you want to repeatedly execute certain functionality based on the time interval, what function you need to call? Set interval. So if I want to load my local time based on every second, so it is preferable you use set interval. Moving on to the script, please come along with me. We are fetching app and we are adding an inner HTML h1 tag with the message good morning. Please look into line number 4 and 5. So what will happen? In my index, wherever I have app div, it will be replaced with h1. So inside this div, it will replace an inner HTML heading 1 with the message good morning. Whether it will call change color method, whether it will call set bg color, No, it will not call. After these two lines, please come down. It will come to line number 48. Shall I continue with 48? Shall I?
Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
with me on this
Yes, ma'am.
example? So
Yes,
we just
ma'am.
had a
Yes, ma'am.
simple example on this good noon message on interval and timeout. Instead of this good noon, let us display our local time as well as this background change. So there is a demo, concept session demo. We have two div ID. So one is this app, the other one is clock. So in this app, go to your script file. We are loading a script file. So function will not call until you are performing a explicit function call. So it will go to line number 48. What we are doing in line number 48, whomsoever I'm calling, please respond. What is this greet? Anuj, what is this line number 48? Greet is a Anuj, Arshad. Tell me what is this greet? Yes, Anuj.
Hello.
What is this greet?
And carryable name.
Huh?
And carry a constant.
No, I didn't get your word. You said something, but it's not.
And constant variable.
It's not constant.
Ma'am, a function.
It's a function. Greet is a function. We are calling greet function and we are passing up some name. So let me give Anuj. Anuj, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So when I trigger, it will go to 48th line because remaining our function call. So search for greet. Yeah, I have greet. So greet Anuj will be replaced to name in an app div. So it is a variable app div. So in inner HTML, it is concatenating hello Anuj. What is this app div? That is there in line number 45 and 4 and 5. So we are declaring a variable app div, which is HTML app div ID. So we are adding an inner HTML good noon with heading. Same inner div app. We are adding hello followed with the name concatenator. All of you, is that clear? So if I execute, I will get good noon, then I will get hello Anuj. Shall I continue with next line?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the next function?
Change
Change
color.
color.
Change color.
So in change color, what is this set BG color?
Function.
It's a
Parameter.
callback function. Function without parameter. And we are passing time 3000 millisecond. So let's go to change color and set BG color. So what we are doing in set BG color? In set BG color, whatever I am passing, it can be a div, it can be a body, it can be any block. So whichever I am passing to my set BG color method, so it is randomly taking any color. So this is a math random function. We are taking this RGB format. So 255, 255, 255, 0 to 255 color code. We are taking an RGB color code and we are setting that color as a background color of my current section. Set BG color is clear. You can ask me a question. Line number 16 and 17 is just we are taking a random red, green, blue color combination, color code. And we are randomly any color code will be fetched and that we are setting as a background color. So when I call set BG color, any background color will be set for my body, whatever the section. Can I go to change color method?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it a complex? It is one of the simple, it looks like a big code, but it's actually a simple one. So whomsoever I'm calling, please respond. So we are calling change color. what would be the output of set color? So what is this set color indicates? Jayashree, you want to give a try? Wait, Tejas, whomever I'm calling, tell me. For your understanding, let me cut this 2 line. I will cut all the lines and I will paste it for your better visibility. Initially, greet Anuj. So it will call greet. Anuj will be concatenated with my div. Yes, Jayashree.
Yes, ma'am.
Line number 25 will be called to which line?
Change color. 15.
No, it's not 15th line. 25th line is a function call. This line
Yes,
will
ma'am.
go on to
Set
bind
BG
with
color. 8.
8th
Change
line.
color.
All of you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, here set BG color, we are replacing to set color method, and 3000 will be replaced to
Interval.
interval. And what is this set color? Set color is nothing but one more method, callback method,
function.
where we are setting the background color.
Yes, ma'am.
Inside we are calling set interval. So set interval, we are calling this set color. It will be applied to my app div. What is this app div? And by the way, why we want to call set interval? Why not set timeout?
To repeat
color and change
after few
after 3 seconds. I want to call this functionality again and again. So I am calling set interval. In my sample demo, I called a function, but here it's an arrow function. Instead of function, we can call arrow function. So inside arrow function, again I'm calling set color, where this app div is nothing but my section. So this div app is called here, where we added those 2 texts, good morning and good noon, and this hello Anuj. This is my section, app div. So app div is good noon, and along with that we added hello Anuj. This is my section. This is my app div. App div is passed to the section and we are passing interval. So we have first function, we have second function, and we have third function called display clock. Even I'm deleting the last one. This is just a message. What is this third last function? Clock. Nothing but every second I want to display my clock. So call set interval. Why? Because every 1 second I want time to display. Set interval, again a callback function. I can have all these lines in one single function and I can call, or I can have an arrow function. Do I want to place it in a separate function? I'm ready to put. So I used to give function 5. Both are same. So display clock, we are calling display clock, and we are calling set interval, because every 1 second I need to perform certain repetitive thing. What repetitive thing? Which is my function 5. And what is there in function 5? I am taking this clock ID. I am adding inner HTML. I am getting right today. In current instance, hour, minute, second, and I'm displaying in my H3 tab. I'll show you output. Again, I come back to this code. This is output. Whatever we discussed with the script, this is an output. So can you relate how this good noon came? Hello Anuj came. And this 15 hours, 26 minutes, 40 seconds. And changing the background in 3 seconds. But this time is changing in every second. This is whatever we discussed. Here it is an output. All right. It's 3:25 in my clock. I am sharing this entire demo. I'll share this script, HTML, and whatever the demo I tried to you on Slack. Execute the same, relate each and everything with the code. Even if you want, you modify it. Wait. I'm giving 15 minutes time before moving to promise.